welcome back to Crime Scene. I just wanted to do a little update on the Nanette Ellis case, because what happened was that when I uploaded the first video, I didn't really like it, so I wanted to redo it, but life got in the way, and before I knew it, it was 6 months since I posted it, which is crazy. But I thought I'll just redo it and I'll just put it up again, because I was really doubting that anybody had watched it anyway, so it wasn't going to be a big deal. But when I got on there, some people had actually watched it and even commented, which was really great. So I thought, no, I'll just leave it there and don't worry about it. But the comments and also rewatching it again made me think of a few other questions that I have about this case. So I was just going to go quickly through these and see if anybody can answer them. Like I said, if you can, or if you know anything at all, can you please comment in the comments, and we'll try to do something about this and hopefully get this case solved if we possibly can, because like I said, 1984, it's been way too long. Okay, so the first thing that I did think of that I had questions about, and I know that while I have never been stabbed before, so I don't know what goes through a person's mind, so I can't even begin to guess what could have been going through Nanette's mind while she was being attacked. But it did occur to me that they say that she was attacked outside her bedroom. And like I said, I don't have the layout to the house. I have no idea where everything is in the house. But I'm assuming the laundry was a little bit away from her bedroom. Only in the fact that one of her sons said that they had come home and they'd gone and they'd seen the blood outside of her bedroom, and then it had led down the hallway and into the laundry. So I'm thinking that the laundry was a little bit, away from her bedroom. So I don't know if someone was attacking her that whole time as she was trying to come from the bedroom and trying to go out the laundry and out through the back door, or had they already left and she was still alive and she was struggling to get down there. Because I'm just wondering why she tried to go for the back door. I mean, she would have had to pass the kitchen phone probably. She didn't try to go out the front door. She didn't try to go to the front door to grab the bat or the gun that she had by the front door. I'm just wondering, I'm really just wondering out loud, because of course I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I don't know a lot of information. There isn't a lot of information written about this case, but I don't know. I guess it was just going through my mind why she would try to go out the back door and not run to go and get the gun or the bat. Like I said, when you're in such a state and stuff's happening to you like that, I guess you don't always think the most logical things, or you're not really planning out anything, are you? So I mean, she's probably taken by surprise anyway, so I don't know. I guess that was one of the things that I was thinking. But there were the comments below the last video was what made me think of a few more questions. Like, for one, somebody had written that a mechanic friend / acquaintance / relative had fixed her radiator for her. One, I'd love to know how you know that, because mechanic friend, acquaintance, relative, that could be anybody for starters. That's a pretty broad range. If you know this for sure, can you let me know? Or if this was just an assumption or something like that, that would be really great. And I don't think that changing a radiator is a huge job or it takes a long time, but I'm just really surprised that she managed to get one that fit her car basically overnight, or wouldn't even have been overnight. It would have had to been fixed that day. So that's why I still have questions about that. Another person in the comments said that the police had looked at a teenager in the area. If anyone has any information about that person, could you let me know that? Our email, by the way, is crimesceneaus, AUS, @outlook.com. If you don't want to comment, you can shoot an email if you've got some information that we could use. That would be really great. So if you know who that teenager was. Also, somebody commented that the killer, they believed that the killer was a man who knew her very well, and the killer was in the house. And I'd like to know how you even know that, or why you think that, because to my knowledge there was no break-in, so I'm not thinking that somebody broke in and was in wait for her, especially because the kids were home and were coming in and out kind of thing. I'm wondering if you were meaning because people assume that the killer had gone in while she was unloading her car. Are you saying that that's why they were already in the house, because they snuck in? Because I don't know if I said this in the last video or anything, but I just find that so brazen that somebody would just, shoot into the house through the front door while somebody is right there unloading all their stuff. Like, as I said in the last video, you can see the house where her car would have been parked, where her front door was. It's just so brazen to just run in there, because you didn't even know if the kids are in there unless you've been watching them and watching the house during the day to see the kids come and go, know that they were out. But how would you know that Greg was gone? Because apparently he jumped the back fence to go across to his neighbours to hang out for a while. So anybody who was out the front watching the house to see who was coming and going and what time Nanette was going to come home and all that sort of stuff, if there was someone out the front there, they would have thought that Greg was still in the house, because they would have seen him go in there after school, but then they wouldn't have seen him go out the back door and jump the fence. So that makes me think that they weren't really doing any recognizance and watching the house to see who was coming and going. Also, like, the passerby saw Nanette come home, but nobody sees somebody standing out the front watching the house. And that's why I either think nobody was watching the house, but if they were, then they thought Greg was in there too. They had to have thought that Greg was in the house. So that, not only do I have questions about that, but that bothers me as well, if that was the case. But likely they weren't watching the house, which means, I don't know, they've just rocked up, knocked on the door. Like the commenter said, that she believes it was a man who knew her very well. If it was someone that came and knocked on the door, then the only way I believe she would have let a man in is if she did know him very well. Because, like I said, gun and bat by the door, very scared by what's been going on in previous weeks. Why on earth would you let a strange man in? You probably wouldn't, being a woman alone and in that sort of position. But you might let a man in who you knew very well, which brings up even more questions, because there hasn't been anything really written about anybody that Nanette knew. I mean, she's a single woman, she's a single mum, and she has friends, obviously. She has friends that will fix a radiator for her. She has friends at work that she was supposedly going out with that night. So obviously she knows a lot of people, but nobody's come forward to say, hey, yeah, I knew her, and this is what she was about, and this is what she was like, for nearly 40 years, which I find to be a little bit bizarre. I mean, I don't know, there was another thing too in the comments that I thought was a very good point, was that this is somebody who had a rage against Nanette. I think we all have people that get us mad and angry at them from time to time, and we might get mad and be a little bit miffed at them for a little while, but you calm down and then go about your day and you forget about it. It's such a short time where you're thinking, oh, this person, they're really getting my goat, right? So this person, though, was so enraged to not just come in and stab her violently multiple times, chasing her from the bedroom to the back door, stabbing. And that's a lot of rage right then and there in and of itself. But to be smashing up her car and, basically stalking her for a week beforehand and all these things, I mean, they've gone out and they've damaged her car, and that has not satisfied them. That has not dulled their rage towards Nanette. So they've gone out and they've done it again and again and again, and that has not dulled their rage. In fact, the rage seems to have increased, because let's look and see what it's culminated in. It's culminated in a violent murder. So the rage that they've felt towards her, this is not a normal, I'm upset with somebody. And by all accounts, everybody that has said anything about Nanette said that she was a lovely woman, great mom, a nice co-worker, nice person to be around. And I'm not saying she's not, because I haven't heard anything to the contrary. Nobody has said a bad word about her. I don't know her. So I cannot sit here and say that she wasn't just a lovely woman. Okay. But maybe she did something. Maybe she did something that just invoked this kind of rage. Now, I'm not saying either that she had to have done something to invoke this kind of rage. I mean, there are people out there who are just psychopaths, and it doesn't take anything for them to develop this kind of rage. So it could have been somebody with massive mental health problems. So maybe Nanette didn't do anything at all. But what if she did? What if she did do something that has invoked a huge rage? We don't know anything about her life. I think what we need to do is speak to somebody who actually knew her. I mean, we can't speak to the ex-husband, Max Ellis, because I'm pretty sure he has died. So we can't speak to him. And I'm not talking about speaking to the kids either, because let's face it, teenage boys, they're not going to really know what their mother's getting up to in her personal life. Mothers don't, especially if you're doing something wrong, you're not going to go and tell your teenage boys about it. So once again, not implying that Nanette is doing anything wrong, or was doing anything wrong, I should say. But I don't know. It's weird to me that nobody has come forward and said, hey, I knew Nanette, and she was a lovely person, and we want to find out who killed her. There's been no friends who's come forward, which apparently she had some. I mean, she was going out with them that night, friends from work, and apparently, like the person in the comments said, is that a friend fixed her radiator for her. So where are these people? I mean, it was 1984, so she was, what was she, like 40 years old? Something like that. So those people would now, if they were the same age as her friends would now be in their 80s, which means we're pushing it for time here to get any sort of answers. But it would be really good to actually speak to someone who knew her, who would actually tell the truth and say, hey, this is what Nanette was like, or this is what was really going on in her life before this happened to her. I mean, maybe she had some sort of Laura Palmer vibe going on, who knows? But I think that if you looked more into her background, maybe we might be able to come up with something. So like I said, if you know anything, stick it in the comments. I'll try to dig up some more stuff, do another update. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.